Big Boar Barbecue presents Seven Rivers Racing with Dan Diker and Billy Doc Niles. Today's program is brought to you by Big Boar Barbecue on Highway 16 West Salem and downtown La Crosse. Big Boar Barbecue, now that's a mouthful. By Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your residential specialists on La Crosse's north side. By Pizza Hut in La Crosse and Winona. Pizza Hut. Now here's Dan with this week's show.
Hi again, race fans. Big Boar Barbecue presents Seven Rivers Racing, KQEG TV, along with Billy Doc Niles. I am radio man Dan Diker. You missed another week of every race that you've blown off this year for your stupid concerts. You've missed some fantastic racing across the board.
I enjoyed them concerts, and the luck of the draw is I get to watch the racing on KQEG TV on Sunday night, so I don't miss anything. Nothing like being in attendance, obviously, but when I can't be there.
He sits 2 rows up in his sun-dried tomato hat, soaking it all in.
Well, we'll probably get to talk to Paul later in the show, but I did get to see the racing action on KQEG TV Sunday night, and just some phenomenal racing. You know, Jacob Gady coming down for a week off at Elko, ends up winning the feature.
First ever at La Crosse.
First ever at La Crosse. He's been trying for how many years to win a race at La Crosse. You know, Randy Humfeld and Brad Warthen, what a show they put on the sportsman division. And you know, we're talking about Adam Moore again here in the Thunderstock. So what can you say about him? Everything I watched Saturday night was rather enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to watching these clips here.
I think when we talk about the Thunderstocks, we should just put up Adam Moore's picture on number 7 and then go on to the Hornets.
Yeah, instead of showing the last couple laps of the feature, just put his picture there. Maybe a victory. Jesse, a nice victory lane shot of Adam Moore would be good, you know.
He's had it 7. He's had 7 different positions this year in the winner's circle. 7
times, and then everybody else has won, you know, what, 3 or 4 other guys have won once. It must have been a bad night for him that night. So it's an impressive season. You don't find seasons like this. I asked him a couple weeks ago, what's it going to be like if you wake up from this dream? And he says, I hope I never do. So it's a heck of a season to have.
Well, we're going to start off like we normally do. I was showing you our last 2 from each division at La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway. Started last Saturday night with the late models. And as you heard Bill reiterate, Jacob Gady came down from Lonsdale, Minnesota, or Carver, Minnesota, that is, and he made the field pay. Once he got in front, it was all Jacob Gady. Took the lead from Mike Carlson with 9 laps remaining in the late model feature. Held off Brad Powell and Nick Panitsky the rest of the way. And I tell you what, Brad Powell, more podium finishes than I think I've ever seen him have.
The only thing we haven't seen him have is a feature win this year. We're used to him getting at least 1 or 2 every year, but competition has been so stiff this year. Once he does get to the front, somebody just as fast or faster has already beat him there. And you know, this week as evidence, you know, Jacob Gady let one go earlier this year. He had a nice lead. Car went south on him. He ended up finishing 5th that night on what should have been an easy win. Mike Carlson looked like an easy win. Don't know what happened. I'm assuming he either got caught up with lap traffic or had a bad corner because Gady caught him just like that, and then he was gone. So a great race by all 3 of them. Panitsky, I didn't think he had a shot at the top 5, but to watch him slice through the traffic them last few laps, a la what Majeski did the week before, great job to get up to the top 4, and in the process, claimed the point lead after it was all over.
It was Gady, Carlson, and Powell. Of course, Panitsky finishes 4th. Steve Carlson finishes 6th. Panitsky had already taken 3 points from Carlson during qualifying, Carlson that is, and now leads by 1 point with 3 actual points races left. Double features next week and Oktoberfest. To the sportsmen we go. Let's roll the last 2 of these right here. And, well, it's either going to be Randy Humfeld or Brad Warthen. That's pretty much how the field's been this year. Those 2 have a combined 8 feature race wins. Interesting restart on this one. Humfeld took the lead after the 2nd caution in the main event. Brad Warthen has a chance to line up with Mark Lethe in the front row. Warthen, instead of jumping on the inside, jumps to the outside, confused himself as to where Randy Humfeld was. Humfeld goes to the inside, a row behind him, and pretty much, as you watched right here, that was the end of the book.
Yeah, I don't know if Brad was that confident in his car on the outside, or if it was just.
He was telling us that night about that. He did that on purpose, and he confused Humfeld to the point that Humfeld almost chose the wrong lane.
Yeah, and It didn't work out for Brad. You know, we've seen a couple guys this year and in years past have the confidence, go to the outside and make it work. Paninsky did it earlier this year on a restart, and it just didn't work for Brad this time. Randy got the inside position on him. Now they both have 4 feature wins. What is it, about 10, 15 points between the two of them?
It's 20.
20? Oh, wow. It's opened up that far. And we got 2 races left for these guys this coming Sunday and Oktoberfest. This one's going to be a fun one to watch.
Worthen finishes second. Steve Bachman again with a podium finish. He finishes in the top 3 and is still contending for that Chase Championship. With the Thunder Stocks we go. Let's just put up a number 7, Adam Moore, and sit here for approximately a minute and 15 and just admire his picture and his number. That's what the races have been like so far this year, whether he starts from the back row, front row. You can start him a lap down. I don't even know what more to say about Adam Moore. Though Joey Johnson, I thought, was going to win this race.
Yeah, it would have been great. Joey, we've talked about it all season. Joey is in his retirement tour. Only 2 more races left for him on the retirement tour this Sunday on Oktoberfest. And it would have been great to see him go out on a feature victory. You know, he's still got 2 more chances, but, man, the way that 29 car is running, it's going to be a tough chore for him or anybody else to claim them last 2 feature victories.
Well, let's jump right into the Hornets. What a battle this one was right here. Brandon Lemoyne was steadily picking his way through the field as you're going to watch the last 2 laps of this one right here. He edged Mark Bornitz, which nobody usually can do, as Bornitz retains a very small point lead heading into Oktoberfest. As a matter of fact, the Eve of Destruction coming up here in a couple of weeks. Brandon Lemoyne lasted through 4 wide racing, 2 cautions, and held off Bornitz by the inches at the line. Matter of fact, I think it was probably less than a bumper.
It was less than a bumper from what I saw in the KQEG replay last Sunday night. I couldn't believe that Lemoyne won this, watching the way this race unfolded on TV. You know, he ran 4th for the longest time, them last 5 laps, and then, like we've talked about the last few weeks, lap traffic come into play, and he just picked his way through there, and amazingly he got the lead. Bornitz gave him a good challenge on the last lap, and by the slimmest of margins, Lemoyne comes out the winner.
Got to give Patrick Tiggy some kudos as well, as he came out of nowhere to finish in the top 3. And again, you've got 5 drivers now that are all going to be going for the championship, which I would presume is going to be happening Oktoberfest race weekend. All those are back out again. Glenn Bush Jr. topped Jason Bolster and Jerry's Ellsworth and Mark Shelley. And that points race is also completely simple as well. So that's your top finishing races from last weekend. I had a lot of people talk some high notes, I should say, about the replay on KQEG TV for Knights of Thunder both Thursday night and Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Also, real quickly, John Aaron, who is trying or just lost his point lead for the straight stocks, has been bedridden now for upwards of 3 weeks. Has been in and out of the hospital. He's had some emergency procedures done, and doesn't look like John's going to be back to race anytime soon. So all of us here at KQEG TV and Seven Rivers Racing, we are passing along our best wishes to you, and hopefully you can get a speedy recovery, and we see you back out soon.
Not the way you want to relinquish your point lead or give up a track championship, but your health is more important than a track championship ever will be. So get well soon, John.
When we come back, Paul Reichert. All right, we're going to let him sit right here and see what he's got to say. He's coming up next right here in Seven Rivers Racing.
You don't have to fly to Kansas City to get great barbecue. Or you don't have to drive down to Des Moines to get great pulled pork too. If you want ribs, the best in town, pulled pork or chicken too, just come on down for the best food in town at Big Boar Barbecue.
Hi, this is Jerry Beyer, and I'm pleased to announce the opening of our new location. We're bringing our delicious ribs, pulled pork, and brisket to the north side of La Crosse. Now, if you live on the north side and you want delicious barbecue ribs, pulled pork, or brisket, now you'll find our Big Boar Cook Shack parked on the corner of George and Gillette Street every Wednesday through Sunday. We're just a short walk from your door. So come on over and sink your teeth into the barbecue voted best in La Crosse County. Don't forget takeout. Big Boar Barbecue. Now that's a mouthful.
Yeah!
Whatever your perfect temperature, you'll enjoy consistent comfort with the heating and air conditioning systems homeowners rank #1. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your residential specialists, providing Coulee Region families with perfect indoor weather all year long. Call for your free estimate today, 608-782-0977. Have you tried the great lunch buffet at Pizza Hut? Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1:30, Pizza Hut in La Crosse and Winona offers you an all-you-can-eat lunch buffet for just $5.99. All the salad, pasta, breadsticks, and of course, delicious piping hot pizza you can eat. How about dinner? Don't get up, get online and get a large 2-topping pizza for just $7.99. It's the best pizza delivery deal at your La Crosse and Winona Pizza Hut. Call for delivery or order online. Pizza Hut.
Welcome back. Big Board Barbecue presents Seven Rivers Racing, KQEG TV, along with Billy Doc Niles and the Burning Rubber Race Report guru himself, Paul Reichert. I am radio man Dan Dykert. Thought we would bring these guys in to kind of break down things at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway. And here later in the show, I've got some interesting numbers that neither of you have heard about at the Speedway with the late models in 20 years.
You have like stat of the day type stuff.
I've got all kinds of stats of the day.
Do we need Dan Patrick's stat of the day? Stat of the day.
No, Dan Patrick's an idiot. That's why I'm doing this show, and he's behind the radio.
He's national, and you're in La Crosse.
So, most competitive season at the La Crosse Speedway in years. And when you look at the late models, we're going to break down the different divisions. Wins this year by Nick Panitsky, Jesse Poxick, Ty Reedy, Jacob Gady. When was the last time at the La Crosse Speedway you had 4 first-time ever feature race winners in the late models?
I can't remember a time. 2, 1, 2, maybe 3 if you're really lucky, but 4 first-time winners. It's amazing. Panitsky and Gady, we had kind of expected them to win feature wins because they've been good everywhere they've gone. And we kind of expected that. Potsick, as a rookie, he had the car to do it, but did we think he could do it? Well, he proved us wrong. Ty Reedy has always been really close over the years, and he finally broke through and got one. So it was really cool to see them guys get a win this year.
Cole Howland, does he get a feature win this year, Paul? I think he and Brad Powell would be the next 2 closest late models, without trying to slight the other drivers, that still have a shot over double features and Oktoberfest.
I think they can. I mean, Cole's car has been fast all year. In fact, it was even fast last week, and you kind of wonder, come on, you got to get a feature win here soon. And Brad, I mean, we know he's good, and just like you said earlier, the competition's been super tough this year, and it's been tough for him to come by a feature win. You know,
we call him Mr. Calm, Billy Doc Niles. He's 3rd in points. He has very calmly and quietly worked his way 3rd in points behind Carlson Panitsky.
He's had some of them good runs. A couple of feature wins got away from him this year. Let's face it, one night he had the lead, and we couldn't explain it, and he'd come off a turn 2, and it looked like the car shut down, and he would get past.
2 weeks in a row he did that.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row. He should have had a couple of feature wins, but he's always been there, anywhere from that, 3rd all the way to like 6th, 7th, 8th place. Consistent run all year, avoiding the accidents all year, and that's how you end up in the top 3 in points.
So by the end of the year, and when we started the show, and I went back and watched the very first 2 shows we had this year, Nick Panitsky's name was nowhere on our radar for winning a track championship. Well, number one, because we didn't know he was going to be racing here on a full-time basis. We knew that Ty wasn't going to be here. And the names we had, well, Steve Carlson was in there. And Steve Carlson, by the way, had to start at the end of a heat last week.
That's 2 weeks in a row. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't. It's been a couple of weeks since he's been in a fast dash. Something is really wrong with that car. They've really lost a handle on it and can't find out what to do with it. And it's not totally bad. I mean, he's still finishing 4th, 5th, and 6th in a feature, but he's used to being 1st or 2nd like the last couple of years. He's used to being podium
places last year.
He's used to them podium finishes, and I don't think anybody's interviewed him in the front stretch in darn near a month now.
Going to the Sportsman now. This one's been interesting over the past 5 or 6 weeks. Things really started to brew between Randy Huntfield and Brad Worthen. 20 points separate those two. They both have 4 feature wins, and they have 2 big races left. They have this coming weekend, and they have Oktoberfest, and then, of course, they're going to run Great Northern, which has been moved to Saturday night of Fest this year. One of the interesting things I think about both of these guys, both of them have watched their cars gets smashed beyond belief. Humfeld knocked him out for 2 weeks. Worthen crippled himself on the front straightaway to finish a race.
I was still amazed that night, the way when he drove the car back to the pits, it didn't look good, and then they had like the army of people coming from all over, like 20 people or so. I was just impressed that he came back out to finish that race. I don't know if that shows how tight-knit our racing family is, but it's just been amazing to see this whole season between them, this battle, and I can't wait to see the end of it. What happens between these two?
20 points, Billy Doc Niles, with 2-point races left. This coming Saturday at Oktoberfest. Can Worthen still win this?
I don't know, the way Humfeld's running right now, it doesn't look like it, but Worthen's had a couple of bad accidents that put him in that 20-point hole, to where Humfeld's only had one really bad accident, and he had to borrow a car for a night to continue on. Unless something bad happens to Humfeld, this is Humfeld's to lose with a 20-point gap. And I want to expand on something Paul just said a few minutes ago about the racing family. If you watched that night, it wasn't just Brad's crew or another sportsman crew. This was crews from all different types. A couple of Hornet guys were there, a couple of late model guys were on there.
The tower watching people just scatter to that car.
And that's impressive to see that people put aside their differences to help somebody get back out on the track, and that's one of the reasons why I love racing here at La Crosse.
Looking at the Thunderstocks, believe it or not, Jason Bolster is not mathematically out of this yet. He still has a shot with racing coming up Saturday and Oktoberfest. But when you go up against a guy like Adam Moore that has won 5 of these races this year, starting in the back row, does Bolster have a shot?
I don't know. I think Adam's got this locked up the way he's been running this season. Like Bill interviewed him that one night, the dream season. He's not going to wake up from that. This has just been a runaway season for him, and I think he's got it wrapped up.
How big is the gap?
That one's going to be quite a bit. I still think that one's about 27 to 28 points.
I'm kind of surprised that it's that close, because the season that Moore has had has just been incredible. He hasn't really had an off night, where Bolster's, we've seen he has had a couple of off nights. So to be even that close, I'm amazed that it is that way. We've said this before over and over the last 3 or 4 weeks. As long as Moore doesn't have an accident, it's his to lose.
Well, when we come back, we're going to break down the last 3 divisions we have at the Speedway. We're going to talk about the Hornets, the Outlaws, which could be interesting because everybody knows what happens at Oktoberfest.
Love Oktoberfest Outlaw
You're
racing.
going up against super late models and mid-AMs and whatever else gets thrown out there at our minivan class. Billy Doc Niles, Paul Reichert, and myself, Dan Diker. We're going to be right back to break down the rest of the Crosse Speedway next.
You don't have to fly to Kansas City to get great barbecue. Or you don't have to drive down to Des Moines to get great pulled pork too. If you want ribs, the best in town, pulled pork or chicken too, just come on down for the best food in town at Big Boar Barbecue.
Hi, this is Jerry Beyer, and I'm pleased to announce the opening of our new location. We're bringing our delicious ribs, pulled pork, and brisket to the north side of La Crosse. Now, if you live on the north side and you want delicious barbecue ribs, pulled pork, or brisket, now you'll find our Big Boar Cook Shack parked on the corner of George and Gillette Street every Wednesday through Sunday. We're just a short walk from your door. So come on over and sink your teeth into the barbecue voted best in La Crosse County. Don't forget takeout. Big Boar Barbecue. Now that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Whatever your perfect temperature, you'll enjoy consistent comfort with the heating and air conditioning systems homeowners rank #1. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your residential specialists, providing Coulee Region families with perfect indoor weather all year long. Call for your free estimate today, 608-782-0977. Have you tried the great lunch buffet at Pizza Hut? Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1:30, Pizza Hut in La Crosse and Winona offers you an all-you-can-eat lunch buffet for just $5.99. All the salad, pasta, breadsticks, and of course, delicious piping hot pizza you can eat. How about dinner? Don't get up, get online and get a large 2-topping pizza for just $7.99. It's the best pizza delivery deal at your La Crosse and Winona Pizza Hut. Call for delivery or order online. Pizza Hut.
Welcome back. Big Board Barbecue presents Seven Rivers Racing KQEG TV along with Billy Niles, Paul Reichert, myself, Dan Diker. We are continuing to talk about what could and could not happen here as the season winds down at the Crosse Speedway. I did want to mention something else that at the Crosse Speedway I kind of teased earlier that I'm going to ask Billy again. I'm going to ask Paul as well because I have the answer right here. The most competitive late model season in years, and the 2017 by numbers is pretty dramatic when you look at it. 305 feature laps have been run, 80 to go. 13 features have been run with 2 to go, 3 formality-wise. 8 different feature winners this year.
Nice. Wow. Love variety.
Yes.
4 first-time feature winners, which we've already talked about.
You know what? For the seasons that Matt Henderson have had, let's just up that to 5. Just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
We'll give you 1, Matty, there.
Closest margin of victory of the late models this year, .132.
Wow.
It's been some good racing.
Yes, it has.
Now, here's the trivia.
Okay.
So, I want to think how I want to format this. What number am I looking at that has not been seen at the La Crosse Speedway in 20 years when it comes to late models? What would you think I'm talking about?
In 20 years, what number? Oh, you got to expand on more than that. Yeah.
No. Just throw a guess out there. What do you think I'm getting at?
I can't venture a guess.
10? I don't know.
Closest championship point battle in 20 years.
What about Paff and Herbst?
Paff and Herbst 2010. That ended 1 point apart.
1 point as of 8/15/17. This is the closest battle in 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, with still a couple weeks to go, yes.
With a couple weeks ago, yeah. Paff and Herbst went right down to the last lap of Oktoberfest.
Well, I remember announcing that one there because then they thought that Herbst had won the National, and whatever track that was on the East Coast decided to run double features that night, and Jay Herbst lost.
That was State. He thought he won State, and the dirt track up north duped him and edged him out.
All right, so let's get back into our points standings here. I think what's really interesting with our street stocks, again, John Aaron has been very ill the past couple of weeks. He missed the trailer race. Well, all drivers that drive on the quarter-mile track were getting an extra 10 points that night. Chris Critter Sampson ran it. John didn't, so Sampson has a 2-point lead. Now, Dakota Miller, who's, of course, his best friend, is only 5 points back, but Dakota Miller told us he's not running street stocks anymore this year, concentrating on his sportsmen, and with Chris Larson 34 points back, does Chris Critter Sampson win this thing?
How many more street stock races are there?
You've got,
this week in Oktoberfest, I do believe,
you got 2.
Wait, don't they run to the Enduro on Saturday, on September 2nd?
Minivans.
Oh, okay. Minivans to the Enduro.
With 2 races left, a 30 point. Let's just assume that there is no Aaron. We already know there is no Miller. So let's just say 34 points. That's a big gap in a class like this because the only way he's going to lose it is if he gets dumped in one feature and then gets outright beat in another feature. Otherwise, he's pretty comfortable. All he has to do is coast, make it a nice top 5, 6, 7 race each feature, and he's got it made.
And we're not raining on John Aaron's parade whatsoever because we do want to get back. So I missed the Madman at the Speedway. Yeah,
that's not the way you want to lose a championship. No. I'm sure it's not the way Clausen wants to win a championship, but Sampson. I'm sorry, Sampson. Clausen, Sampson.
But if you look at Chris Critter Sampson, what a way to win the year, though, is to get a track championship, his first ever feature win at the La Crosse Speedway, and he's a track record holder. I mean, those dominoes have fallen in line.
Oh, yes, they have. It's been a great year for Chris, and hopefully he is able to hold on to that lead there.
15-point lead now for Mark Bornitz over Jimmy Bjorkman. Jimmy Bjorkman is now taking second place in the Ants Complete Pest Control Hornets with Caleb Vian just 4 points behind, and Brandon Lemoyne about 27 points back. 4 drivers, 2 races with Fest coming up. we've seen this how many years in a row with the Hornets, where we've got, what was it, the one year we had 12 drivers that still had a legitimate shot with 3 races to go. Does Mark Bornitz win another track championship?
It's obviously it's not. It's mathematically possible, but we got 2 races left with them guys, and we've seen basically the last few weeks the same few guys somehow make it into the top 5. You've seen Bornitz, with the exception of the spin out a few weeks ago on the last lap. Bornitz is always in the top 5. Ticky's always in the top 5. Vian, bad night last week, still finds a way in the top 5. Jimmy Bjorkman finds his way in the top 5. This is going to be a fun one for the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to predict this one. Bornitz has the lead, but can he keep it? And
Jimmy Bjorkman, this is only the second year he's been racing.
Yeah, and Oktoberfest champion too. We had him in after Oktoberfest last year. The kid's got tons of talent, and he's really fast.
Minivans, according to Matt Moore, he's got a 10-point lead over Mike Peters. All Matt really has to do is show up in the heat race and the feature during the Enduro, and he'll take claim of the championship. Now, I'm not positive, but that was what Matt was telling us last week. Mike Peters is 10 points back. The Outlaws, I think, is going to be the most interesting thing, and that will be Oktoberfest race weekend. Jason Bolster leads Jerry Ellsworth by 4 whopping points. And when you talk the Outlaws at Oktoberfest, this isn't a typical Saturday Night Outlaw show.
Oh, no, it isn't. They get a lot of outsiders coming in. I think one year, it was Brett Wenzel won the Outlaws. And
Dan Young broke the track record.
Oh, yeah.
He started another one through the winner's circle.
He started a lap behind and still won the feature that night.
The construction company had put a $100 challenge out there, and he won the $100 challenge being a lap down. For Jason Bolster and Jerry Ellsworth, this one is not solidified.
No, it isn't.
No, it's too bad that who won the feature last week? The 7 car.
Glenn Bush Jr.
It's too bad he had problems earlier in the year. This could be a great 3-car battle right now, but still, Bolster and Ellsworth have been pretty consistent, and this another one I don't think they're going to win the Oktoberfest feature, because there's going to be some different cars there, but it's going to be fun to watch them 2 battle it out to the end.
Well, that's going to do it for the program today. As we've broken down everything, we're going to be getting a little bit more expansive on the Whitetail Crossing Community Stores Race Report Saturday at noon on 1460 WBOG, as we're really going to get into breaking this stuff down here and even get a chance to talk about some national point standings from the NASCAR home track. So once again, I want to thank you for joining us, and Big Boar Barbecue. I think I'm in the works of a prize thing here for Oktoberfest. Big Boar.
How about our girl Aspen trying it for the first time? And
saw that? Yeah, she snapped the chat at me. She said I should be proud. You should be proud.
We were proud of you. Nice job, Aspen.
Simply outstanding. For Paul Reichert and Billy Doc Niles and Radio Man Dan Dyke, I want to thank you for joining us again. More to come next week. We're going to have a lot of video. 2 20-lap features coming your way, the lacrosse late models, and that will be during next week's program right here on KQEG TV.
You've been watching the Big Boar Barbecue presentation of 7 Rivers Racing on KQEG TV. 7 Rivers Racing is brought to you by Big Boar Barbecue on Highway 16 West Salem and downtown La Crosse. Big Boar Barbecue, now that's a mouthful. By Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your residential specialists on La Crosse's north side. By Pizza Hut in La Crosse and Winona. Pizza Hut. Join us next week at this same time for Doc and Dan and 7 Rivers Racing on KQEG TV.